Most people planning to claim Social Security early believe they're being smart. Get the money sooner. Use it longer. The data tells a different story. According to the Social Security Administration, a worker claiming at 62 instead of 70 locks in a permanent reduction of up to 30% and loses out on delayed retirement credits that grow the benefit by 8% for every year they wait past full retirement age. That gap compounds for life. It never closes. In the next 13 minutes, you'll learn exactly how that math works, what a realistic break-even looks like, how taxes and spousal benefits change the equation, and the narrow set of circumstances where claiming early actually makes sense. The surprising cost of claiming early. Let's start with the number most people don't fully absorb. If your full retirement age is 67, which it is for anyone born in 1960 or later per current SSA rules, and you claim at 62, your benefit is permanently reduced by 30%, not temporarily, not until you turn 67. Permanently, every month for the rest of your life. Now, layer in what happens if you wait past 67. The SSA awards delayed retirement credits of 8% per year for every year you defer past full retirement age up through age 70. That's 3 years of credits. 3 times 8 is 24% more than your full retirement age benefit, on top of what you already earned by not claiming early. So the total swing from the worst-case scenario to the best is not 30%. It's not even 50%. According to the SSA's own benefit calculators, the difference between claiming at 62 versus 70 can be as high as 77% more per month. If your full retirement age benefit would have been $2,000 a month, claiming at 62 might give you $1,400. Waiting until 70 gives you $2,480 every single month. Adjusted for inflation through cost of living increases on top of that higher base. That's the number that should reframe this entire decision. How your benefit is actually calculated. Before we go further, it's worth understanding what that base benefit actually represents, because this is where a lot of confusion starts. Social Security doesn't just look at your last few years of income. The SSA calculates your primary insurance amount, your PIA, using your highest 35 years of indexed earnings. Indexed means your old wages are adjusted upward to reflect wage growth over time. If you worked fewer than 35 years, zeros get averaged in, which pulls your PIA down. For 2025, the SSA applies a bend point formula to your average indexed monthly earnings. The first $1,226 of your AIPKME, your average indexed monthly earnings, is credited at 90%. Earnings between $1,226 and $7,391 are credited at 32%. Anything above $7,391 is credited at 15%. Those bend points are set by the SSA each year and reflect the progressive design of the system. Lower earners replace a higher share of their pre-retirement income. Why does this matter for the age 70 decision? Because delaying doesn't just add a percentage on top of a small number. If your 35-year earnings history produces a strong PIA, the 8% annual credit is worth real dollars. And if you have some lower earning years in your history, working even a few more years before claiming can replace zeros or low years with higher ones, boosting your PIA before the delayed credits are even applied. Those two effects stack. Longer work history plus delayed credits is a powerful combination. What delayed retirement credits actually do to your check. Here's what I'd call the most underestimated mechanic in all of Social Security planning. The 8% annual delayed retirement credit sounds like a bond yield. But it's not just 8% of your original benefit. It's 8% per year applied to your full retirement age benefit. And then every cost of living adjustment for the rest of your life is calculated on that higher base. The SSA applied a 2.5% COLA for 2025. That sounds modest. But when your base is $2,480 instead of $1,400, a 2.5% COLA adds $62 a month instead of $35 a month. The gap between the early claimer and the late claimer gets wider in real dollar terms every single year. Inflation adjustments are applied. This is why longevity is so central to the math. The longer you live, the more the higher base compounds through annual COLAs. The SSA's actuarial tables as of 2024 show that a 65-year-old woman has a median life expectancy of approximately 86.6 years, a 65-year-old man approximately 84.3 years. Those are medians. Half of all retirees live longer. Individual variation matters here. Your own health history and family longevity should inform your estimate, but the default assumption that you'll live to average or beyond is supported by the data for most people reading this. The break-even math walked end to end. Let's run the numbers completely so there's no ambiguity. Assume your full retirement age benefit at 67 would be $2,000 per month. Claiming at 62 gives you $1,400. Waiting until 70 gives you $2,480. If you claim at 62, you collect 96 months of payments before someone who waited until 70 collects their first check. At $1,400 a month, that's $134,400 in total payments received before age 70. But starting at 70, the late claimer receives $1,080 more per month than the early claimer. That's $2,480 minus $1,400. Divide that $134,400 head start by $1,080 per month. The break-even point is approximately 124 months, just over 10 years past age 70. That means the late claimer pulls ahead in cumulative lifetime benefits around age 80. If you live past 80, waiting wins by an increasing margin every year after that. Now here's what most people get wrong about this calculation. They run it in nominal dollars and ignore COLAs. Once you apply annual inflation adjustments to the higher base, the break-even point actually arrives a little sooner in real purchasing power terms. The late claimer's advantage is larger than the raw math suggests. Also important, this calculation assumes the early claimer doesn't invest those early payments. If they do invest them and earn a consistent return, the break-even shifts later. At a real return of 5%, some analyses push the break-even to the mid-80s. Your own investment discipline and risk tolerance affect this, which is a genuine individual variable worth discussing with a fiduciary. My take is this. For most people without a serious health condition, the break-even math combined with the longevity data makes waiting to 70 the right default. The data is clear. Taxes, spousal benefits, and the survivor trap. Now, here's where the age 70 strategy creates layered benefits that most people miss entirely. First, taxes. Up to 85% of your Social Security benefit can be subject to federal income tax if your combined income, adjusted gross income plus non-taxable interest plus half your Social Security, exceeds $34,000 for single filers or $44,000 for married couples filing jointly. Those thresholds are not indexed to inflation and haven't changed since the 1990s. That means more retirees cross them every year. Here's the connection to delaying. If you work until 70 and claim then, you may have fewer years where you're drawing down taxable retirement accounts alongside Social Security. The years between full retirement age and 70 can be strategically used to do Roth conversions at lower tax rates, converting traditional IRA money while your income is lower, so that when you do claim the higher Social Security benefit, more of your other income comes from Roth distributions, which don't count toward combined income. Your filing status and overall income mix determine how much this matters, but it's a real interaction worth understanding. Second, spousal benefits. A spouse who didn't work or had lower earnings can claim a spousal benefit worth up to 50% of your full retirement age benefit. That spousal benefit is based on your PIA, not your age 70 amount. So, delaying your own claim doesn't directly increase the spousal benefit itself, but it matters indirectly, and here's how. Third, and this is the one that genuinely trips people up, the survivor benefit. When the higher earning spouse dies, the surviving spouse steps up to receive the deceased spouse's benefit. If the higher earner claimed at 62, the survivor is locked into a reduced check for the rest of their life. If the higher earner waited until 70, the survivor receives that larger COLA compounded amount. The SSA reports that roughly 67% of surviving spouses are women, and women statistically outlive their husbands by an average of about 5 years. Delaying to 70 is not just a strategy for you. It's life insurance for your spouse. That reframe changes how a lot of couples approach this decision. Who should not wait until 70 sounds. The case for waiting is strong, but I want to be honest about the exceptions. If you have a serious health condition and a realistic life expectancy under 78 or so, the break-even math shifts against waiting. Claiming earlier may deliver more total lifetime dollars in that scenario. This is a genuine exception, not a hedge. If you are in a financial emergency, facing foreclosure, carrying high-interest debt with no other assets, claiming earlier may solve a more urgent problem. That's a liquidity argument, not a longevity argument. If you are the lower-earning spouse and your higher-earning spouse is delaying to 70, you may want to claim earlier as a household to generate income in the interim. That's a coordinated strategy, not a compromise. It can make sense when run as a household optimization rather than an individual one. And if you were born between 1943 and 1954, your full retirement age is 66, not 67. Your delayed credit window runs from 66 to 70, not 67 to 70. The credits and reduction percentages are the same in structure, but the ages shift. Make sure you're using your actual full retirement age when running any calculation. Outside those exceptions, my default recommendation stands. If you're in average or above average health, the higher earner in a couple, and not facing a financial emergency, waiting until 70 is the strategy the math supports. I cover catch-up retirement strategy for late starters, and this one lever, delaying Social Security, is among the highest impact moves available to people who are behind on savings. It costs nothing to implement, and it's permanent. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. This is general education, not personalized advice. Consult a fiduciary before acting. If this breakdown was useful, subscribe to Money After 50. We publish evidence-based retirement strategy specifically for people who are starting later than they planned. And I want to hear from you. What Social Security question would you like me to dig into next? Leave it in the comments and I'll work it into an upcoming video. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.